There are places where the veil between reality and the unknown wears thin, where forgotten echoes still haunt the wind, and something watches from the shadows. Tonight, we bring you two true tales of terror, two accounts that will sink their claws deep into your mind and leave you questioning what's real. First, we journey to a remote railway post where a lonely operator uncovers a chilling mystery buried beneath the clanging steel and signal lights, a story known only as the Signal Tower. Then, we follow the whispers of a cursed melody, a lullaby passed from mother to child that brings with it something far darker than sleep, something you'll wish had stayed silent. Turn off the lights, put on your headphones, and prepare for Midnight Archive's descent into dread. The Signal Tower. There are places in this world that are simply forgotten, not because time passed them by, but because something made sure they were never remembered. High in the Black Pines of West Virginia lies a mountain ridge called Deadman's Hollow, a name earned not through legend but through absence. It is a place where birds do not fly, where compasses spin wildly, and where radios whimper with static, and sometimes with something else. No one goes there. Not really. At least no one returns. Gareth Miles was 34 years old, a technician for the National Radio Frequency Administration. Widowed, alone, and quietly obsessed with the mysteries of lost signals, he was sent to investigate Tower 13, a radio relay station decommissioned in 1973 after an unexplained shutdown. Until now. On September 4th, 1997, Tower 13 unexpectedly pinged the national grid. The agency sent Gareth because the tower was supposed to be dead. The drive up the twisting mountain road felt unnervingly long, as if the forest itself were swallowing him whole. The sky was a dull grey, thick clouds hanging low like a shroud. The compass on his dashboard spun in frantic circles, useless. Static hissed from the radio speaker. He twisted the dial. Nothing. Only white noise. The higher he climbed, the louder the static became. A low, rhythmic pulse, almost like a heartbeat. Gareth frowned, his heart beat faster. He reached the clearing where Tower 13 stood, rusty and broken against the sky. The skeletal frame creaked softly in the wind, its antennas bent like broken fingers reaching for something unseen. The power generator was cold and disconnected, yet the red beacon atop the tower blinked, slow, steady, unrelenting, alive. Gareth set down his gear and began his inspection. The metal stairs groaned underfoot as he climbed to the transmitter room. Dust floated in the weak beam of his flashlight, particles suspended in a silent storm. His recorder sat on the desk, ready. He spoke into the microphone, his voice barely above a whisper. Arrived at Tower 13, no sign of recent maintenance. Power source unknown, local wildlife silent, sky overcast, temperature 41 degrees Fahrenheit. Static present on all FM bands. Signal strongest at 146.7 MHz, repeating every 9 seconds. As he spoke, a faint click echoed through the room. His recorder switched itself on. A whisper hissed through the static. Turn around. Gareth spun, flashlight sweeping the room, but no one was there. The air grew colder. His breath fogged in the stale silence. That night, the static became a symphony of whispers. Gareth lay awake in his tent, the signal from the tower pulsing in his ears. It was no longer just noise. It was language. At 3:07 a.m., his radio scanner crackled violently. Amid the chaos, a pattern emerged. Morse code. Hands shaking, Gareth copied the dots and dashes onto paper. Who hurts in the dark? The question chilled him to the bone. The signal repeated, louder now. A second message followed. You brought it with you. Shaking, Gareth stepped outside, flashlight cutting swaths through the thickening fog. The tower above him loomed impossibly tall, casting shadows that seemed to writhe. A low, mechanical hum thrummed beneath his feet, the sound of something waking. Around him, the trees creaked, not with wind, but like bones cracking after centuries of stillness. Despite the dread squeezing his chest, Gareth climbed the stairs once more. The transmitter room was a graveyard of forgotten technology. Dusty consoles, shattered dials, flickering screens. But the microphone on the desk thrummed with life. His fingers brushed it. Instantly, a voice filled his mind. Why do you come? The sound was dry, cracked, like gravel shifting on a tombstone. I'm here to fix the signal, Gareth whispered back. The signal is not broken. It waits. It listens. Suddenly, the screen erupted in static. Flickering images flashed. Twisted faces, dark forests, empty houses, shadowy figures watching from the edges. Gareth's dead wife's face appeared, eyes wide, pleading. He spun around. No one. Hours, or was it days, passed. Time lost meaning. The tower's pulse synced with his heartbeat, invading his mind with waves of cold. His radio morphed static into a twisted lullaby. The melody clawed at something deep inside, a sorrow he had buried. His knees gave way. The voice came again. Come home. Drawn by the unseen call, Gareth stumbled into the forest. The trees bent inward, forming a tunnel of shadows. Faces flickered at the edges of his vision, hands reaching, but vanished when he looked directly. He was lost, or worse, led. Deep beneath Dead Man's Hollow, the earth cracked open. Inside, walls pulsed with glowing veins of wires and roots intertwined. The tower was not a machine. It was alive, feeding on forgotten pain, on sorrow. Whispers echoed. You cannot leave. You brought it with you. Gareth's mind shattered. The tower was a prison, and he was its newest inmate. The last transmission recorded was a single desperate phrase. Help me. Search parties found the tower days later, silent and still. No sign of Gareth Miles. No footprints. No signal. Only static. And sometimes faint whispers carried on the wind. Turn around. Days before Gareth's disappearance, his world had already been cracking at the seams. The death of his wife, Emily, had hollowed him out. A car accident 3 years prior left him alone, trapped in a silent house filled with memories and shadows. The weight of grief was a constant hum in his chest, one he tried to drown out with work, the steady rhythm of signals and frequencies. Yet, as he drove up to Deadman's Hollow, that hum turned into a roar. The deeper into the forest Gareth ventured, the heavier the air grew. His boots sank into a strange, soft soil that swallowed every step, erasing tracks as if the earth itself didn't want him to be found. The trees pressed in closer, their branches twisting like skeletal hands, scratching at the sky. The static followed him, pulsing with a heartbeat he couldn't shake. On his second night, Gareth awoke to a scratching noise outside his tent. The forest was still, too still. No rustle of small animals, no wind, only the scratching. He unzipped his tent and stepped out. Moonlight filtered weakly through the thick canopy, illuminating the tower's blinking red light. At the edge of the clearing, a figure stood. At first, it was just a shadow, a tall, thin silhouette with elongated limbs and no discernible face. Gareth blinked. The figure vanished. Over the next few hours, the boundary between reality and nightmare began to blur. The tower's signal grew stronger, warping his mind. Voices whispered from the static, calling his name in tones both sweet and sinister. Gareth's recorder captured fragments of speech no human should hear, words in a language older than time, laden with sorrow and rage. He tried to resist, but the lullaby sung by the radio coils wormed inside his mind. One evening, as he recorded the static, a sudden burst of light flooded the room. The flickering screen showed a new image, a small girl standing in the forest, her eyes hollow, mouth sewn shut. Gareth felt his skin crawl. The girl raised a finger, pointing directly at him. Suddenly, the tent's walls seemed to breathe, contracting and expanding as if alive. He stumbled back, heart pounding. The tower's hum deepened into a growl. The nights grew longer. Sleep became a distant memory. Gareth's hands shook uncontrollably as he struggled to keep his recorder running. The whispers became voices, mocking, pleading, accusing. Why did you leave me? Help me. Come home. One night, amidst the static, a new message emerged. Not in Morse code, but in raw emotion. Gareth felt a surge of pure despair wash over him. He saw flashes of a forgotten ritual. Blood spilled beneath the tower, a pact forged in shadows. The tower was a beacon, not for radio waves, but for lost souls. And it was hungry. Driven by a mixture of fear and desperation, Gareth tried to leave. But the forest had changed. Paths twisted and looped back on themselves. Compasses spun madly. Even the sun seemed swallowed by an unending gloom. Lost and isolated, Gareth began to see things, figures lurking just beyond sight, eyes glowing in the dark. His reflections in broken glass showed faces not his own. He screamed into the night, but only static answered. The tower pulsed in time with his heart, a constant reminder of his imprisonment. He realized the signal was a trap, designed to draw the curious, the lost, the broken. And now, he was one of them. The last entries in Gareth's recorder were fragmented and desperate. Help. It's coming. I can hear them. Voices behind the trees. They want me. Can't leave. Can't run. Turn around. As the search teams scoured the hollow, they found only silence. The tower stood sentinel, its beacon blinking like a heart in the night. And in the distance, the faintest whisper carried on the wind. Turn around. If you're still with us, take a breath, but don't get too comfortable. Our next tale drifts into quieter, more intimate horrors. It's a story of innocence wrapped in shadow, of a melody meant to soothe, but one that awakens something unspeakable instead. This is the lullaby, and once you've heard it, you'll never forget it. Every parent knows the sacred ritual of bedtime, the soft tuck of blankets, the gentle kiss on the forehead, and the lullaby, a simple tune meant to protect and soothe. But what happens when that lullaby doesn't come from you and there's no one else in the house? Tonight on Midnight Archives, we explore the terrifying story of a mother, a baby monitor, and a lullaby that should never have been sung. Our story begins in a quiet neighborhood in Oregon. Meet Claire, a 32-year-old first-time mother who had just moved into a century-old farmhouse with her husband Daniel and their newborn daughter Lily. It was meant to be a new beginning, fresh air, rolling hills, space to raise a family. But even before the boxes were unpacked, Claire felt something was off. She chalked it up to exhaustion. You know the kind. Sleepless nights, diaper changes, the 2 a.m. crying fits. But there was something about the house, the creaking floors, the faint smell of old smoke in the walls, and the nursery, cold, even in the middle of July. Like most new mums, Claire relied heavily on her baby monitor, one of those newer models with audio and video. Every night, after Lily was put to bed, Claire and Daniel would collapse on the couch, monitor in hand, praying for just one quiet evening. And for a while, they got it. Until one night, around 2:41 a.m., Claire, half asleep, heard something through the monitor. She thought it was Lily fussing, but the sound wasn't crying. It was singing. A woman's voice, soft, melodic, too perfect. It sang a lullaby Claire had never heard before. Hush now, little star, don't you cry. The night will hold you as angels fly. She thought maybe it was a glitch, maybe one of those weird YouTube toy channels bleeding through. But there was no Wi-Fi interference, no apps open. And more chillingly, Claire wasn't singing, Daniel was asleep, and Lily was perfectly still in the crib. Over the next several nights, the lullaby came back. Always around 2:40, always the same voice. Claire tried recording it, but when she played it back, there was nothing, just static. She brought it up to Daniel, but he brushed it off. You're tired, he said. You're just dreaming with your eyes open. But Claire knew what she heard. And then something changed. She began to notice Lily wasn't waking up crying anymore. In fact, she was smiling, wide-eyed, giggling at nothing, reaching up into the corner of the room as if someone was there. Determined to find answers, Claire went online. She described the song on forums, Reddit threads, even paranormal boards. That's when someone responded with a link, an audio archive of forgotten children's songs. She clicked, and there it was, the exact same lullaby, the same melody, the same words, but the story behind it chilled her to her core. It was known as the Morning Song, a melody believed to originate from a 19th century orphanage that burned to the ground in 1871. Legend says the headmistress used to sing it to children who were too sick to sleep, children who died in their sleep, smiling. That night, Claire sat up, determined to catch whoever or whatever was singing. At 2:40 a.m., the monitor buzzed to life. "Hush now, little star. Don't you cry." The same song. But this time, something moved on the screen. A shadow, standing in the nursery. It rocked gently beside the crib, humming. Claire burst into the room, but no one was there. And Lily, still smiling. The next night, Claire unplugged the monitor. She shut the door. She even burned sage she bought from a local shop. But at 2:41, the lullaby came again. Only this time, it wasn't coming from the monitor. It was coming from inside the walls. Claire couldn't take it anymore. She packed up the baby, called her sister. They left before sunrise. 2 weeks later, Daniel returned to retrieve the rest of their belongings. Claire begged him not to go alone. He laughed it off, told her she was being dramatic. She never saw him again. The police said the house was empty when they arrived. But Claire knows better. On the baby monitor, still packed in the bag she hadn't touched since, a new recording had appeared. "Hush now, little star. Don't you cry." And over the soft lullaby, Daniel's voice could be heard, faint and broken. "She's still here." Some lullabies are meant to soothe, others are meant to summon. Claire never returned to that house. But the monitor still turns on at night, even when it's unplugged, even when it's packed away. And each time it does, that same voice sings, that same song plays. So, if you hear a lullaby in the middle of the night, one you don't recognize, one no one is singing, ask yourself, is someone trying to soothe your child or steal them away? The night will hold you as angels fly. If you made it this far, thank you for watching. Stories like this, strange, unsettling, and buried beneath layers of mystery, are what we bring to light here. If you enjoyed this descent into the unknown, and you want more tales that keep you up at night, make sure to hit that like button. And if you're new here, consider subscribing to Midnight Archives. We have many more chilling stories waiting just beyond the static. And trust me, it only gets darker from here.